Hey guys, it's Wes. In today's video, we are covering a really innovative crypto that has immense, colossal, far-reaching potential that could go so much further than it currently is. It's insanely innovative. It is covering concepts and doing things new both in the stablecoin marketplace as well as the DeFi space with a ton of things wrapped all around it and a huge user base. What is that crypto? It is Terra, also known as Luna to many of you. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why I am excited about it, why I'm investing in it, and why I think it's got huge potential for the future. Want to know more? Well, my friends, we're covering all of this and a whole bunch more coming right up. Hey guys, Wes Spencer, welcome back to the channel. We're covering Luna today, really exciting cryptocurrency. I've had my eyes on it for a while, but if I'm honest, a few of you guys have done a couple of things like this right here, tweeting at me being like, yo Wes, when are you gonna cover Luna? And hey, look, I'll just be honest. Sometimes you guys are able to hit my vagaries and my tendencies and get me going on something. And honestly, a lot of the stuff I cover on this channel is specifically from things that you guys are asking me to do. Now, you probably know there's a million things that are out there, so I will only cover the things that I'm interested in and that I think have a future and a potential. And these are all just my opinions. So let's go ahead and jump into some of this. And I'm going to talk about why it's so exciting to me. The first thing I want to talk about is just a little bit about stablecoins. When I first read about stablecoins years ago, I'm like, who the heck wants a stablecoin? Right? Like, I want crypto that's going to grow. The last thing I want to do is be pegged to $1 or whatever the currency du jour is. Why the heck would I want that? That sounds ridiculous. Well, there's a ton of reasons that stablecoins are awesome. And many of you are new to crypto in this channel, so I just want to simplify stablecoins as quickly and concisely as I possibly can because it has a huge effect on Terra itself. So stablecoins, there's a bunch of reasons you might want to use them. One reason might be, let's say that crypto is at an all-time high like it was just a few weeks ago, or you feel like it's at a high and can't really push a lot further. And you don't want to cash out, so to speak. You want to have your crypto in some kind of form or fashion that you might be able to pseudo cash out, but get back in as quick as possible when you want to. But yet we're straddled because Coinbase, Gemini, Voyager always have these buy limits. So let's just play this out easy. And let's say you've got 50K in crypto and just in Bitcoin. We'll just keep it simple. You're like, man, I don't think it's going to go a lot higher. Now would be a great time to cash out and just hold for the dips. Well, you could just go right to Coinbase and sell all 50K. And you make some cash, which is awesome. But let's say you sit on that 50K in your bank and you're ready to buy when Bitcoin goes back down, like what happened this week. And then you're straddled with Coinbase's inability for you to buy up to 50K because of their buy limits. And you're like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? And you're missing those and you see Bitcoin going back up. That's a challenge. And that's where stablecoins, that's one use case. Instead of selling, you could transfer to a stablecoin. Now, I'm not your CPA. There are probably tax implications. In fact, I know there are in the US to doing that. But regardless, you could keep it there in a stablecoin that's pegged to $1. And when it goes to a certain level, you buy back with that stability. Why do you do that? Well, let's say you sold at 50K and now Bitcoin is at 25K. And all of a sudden you want to buy back, you're going to get a whole bunch more for that value. So that's one example. Another example is simply holding stablecoins for investments, for DeFi. There's a bunch of things you've seen in all of that. You guys know I cover Celsius a lot. I'm a huge fan of it. There are people that are literally just yield farming at roughly 10% APY with a whole bunch of stablecoins. And if you think about that, that kills bank rates, way, 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 way better. So stablecoins are awesome, but there is a risk to all of them. And I want to show you some of these. So let's just pick two really famous, popular stablecoins that are out there. One is Tether, USDT. We know a lot about it. A lot of my friends use it. I use it. It's pretty awesome. It's controlled by a centralized group of people. You can see this here. It was controlled by Bitfinex. It is pegged to the US dollar. There's been some controversy around all of this. And one of those controversies is it actually pegged completely and collateralized? Meaning if there's a billion Tether, are there a billion US dollars that are securing it? And come to find out, no, not so much. So there's some risk there in terms of the collateral of how do we actually have this thing pegged? Is it just virtually pegged to $1, or is it actually truly at a 1-to-1 ratio? So there's some issues there that could be concerning, and there's some risk there. Same with USDC. It trades on multiple different blockchains. You see this: Ethereum, Stellar, Algo, Solana, which is super cool. And it's managed by a consortium of people, including Coinbase, Bitmain, and others, all through Circle. Same thing. Look at this right here. It says they claim that each USDC is backed by $1 held in reserve, and those reserves, while they're attested, they're not audited. In other words, the third-party firm, in this case, it looks like Grant Thornton, which I know who they are. I've seen some of their audit work. They're a very good CPA firm, is attesting that, saying, yep, we declare it looks good, but they're not producing an audit back that really, truly confirms it, that dives into the data and the details. So there is risk in all of this. A lot of these stable coins are like manually pegged via some kind of like vehicle where there's a centralized group that manages that collateralization. And if we think about that, a little scary. I mean, that kind of goes against the mission that many of us like in terms of cryptocurrency, but it's been one of the only ways to find a collateralization system to allow us to even have a stable coin that's pegged to some certain value, like $1 until now. This is where it gets really interesting. This is where Terra comes into place. I want to show you Terra. So when you first go here, it's a little difficult to understand, right? You start checking this out and you're like, programmable money for the internet. Okay, I think I get it. You know, the white paper is super good, but it's not super easy to understand. I'll come back to that in a minute. But one of the things I do want to talk about before we jump too much into this is, yes, it's a stable coin, but it's got some brilliant backers and some brilliant ideas that are behind it. It's actually funded and created by this guy right here, Kwon, and some others. Now, Do, let me tell you, South Korean, and he has a name that speaks for himself. Forbes 30 under 30. This is not his first foray into being an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur myself, I absolutely have affinity to people like this that move the needle and do things different and truly disrupt industries. And he's done this before. Terra itself has raised millions of dollars in funding. So when we get to my rating system in just a minute, you guys know, or if you're new to my channel, I have a very specific way, a rubric that I use to rate cryptocurrency projects to give you some visibility into just how I think. And so Do meets everything in spades. Fantastic project for sure. So going back to Terra for a minute, now that we know the founders are legitimate, we know who they are, they're doing some amazing things, it's well funded as a platform, some very, very, very top shelf venture capitalist funding behind all of it. Now we can kind of go and take a look at all of this. And the idea for Terra is to become an internet money payment system. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies that are doing that. But we know that stablecoins are a key piece to that. Here's the problem. Let's say I want to pay someone in Bitcoin for what I owe. I pay them a certain amount today and it's worth less the next day, or worth a whole lot more and I'm the one regretting it. We don't like that. It's a tough system of payment. And yes, I know like a lot of us would say, well, if only Bitcoin would become the world payment ecosystem, then it wouldn't matter. Well, we're a long way from that. It'll probably never happen, is just my opinion on this channel. So now that we think about that, stablecoins are really powerful. And so what Terra is doing is introducing a stablecoin methodology that gives us the capability of entering into this ecosystem and providing a whole lot more than typical stablecoins, but do it in a way that is not backed by a centralized group of people that hold the coins. So how does that work? Well, here is their, like, you can click on this on the front of Terra.money on their website, and it will take you into this basic video on how it all works. I'm just gonna play a little piece of this for you. Here's the way this works. So there's a total supply of money with Terra. In fact, this is in their stable coin, and it tries to keep it pegged at $1. Okay, that's what stable coins do. No big deal. We understand that. So if you think about it, there are going to be times when demand might cause this to be worth more than $1, or a reduction in demand causing this to be worth less than $1. So how do we handle that in a decentralized form and fashion? There's not some bank over here or group of individuals centralized and authoritatively handling this. Well, let me show you how this whole thing works. So I'm going to hit play on the video, and you're going to see how this works. So they talk about demand going up, demand going down, which increases or reduces supply and demand. And so because of that, there's got to be a way that we keep all of this in place and keep it pegged at $1 as much as I possibly can. And here's the answer to the way this works: Luna. So Luna is the native cryptocurrency for Terra, And there's a mechanism by which traders can use, people like you and me can use the Luna that they own and hold and transfer it into the stablecoin UST should they want to. Now, why would they want to do that? Well, think about it this way. Let me hit pause on the video. In this case, demand has risen for UST above $1. So what I can do is I can profitably say, hey, you know what? I'm going to burn or transfer my Luna into UST and do that at a profit because demand is really high. So like, let's say in this case, it's trading at $1.50. So I could take my Luna and transfer it there at a profit because it's at $1.50, not $1. And what that does is, as we hit play, that reduces the supply, that increases the supply of UST and lowers the value of what it's worth. And the reason I would want to do that as a Luna holder is because I can make that transfer at profit to myself. And then they go on and they use the same example in reverse. Let's say supply goes way down. Then I could take my UST and transfer it into Luna. Again, why? Because it's at a profit. It's cheaper for me to do that and hold Luna. And so the whole idea behind all of this is just a mechanism, a decentralized algorithm that creates a mechanism that allows holders of Luna to transfer to the stablecoin or back based upon supply and demand, which allows for us to do what? Have a stablecoin that works across the board without having to have some centralized bank control or centralized group control all of this. That is really exciting. So going back a little bit more to Terra itself, I'm going to go down a little bit more and I want to show some things that I think are important. So first of all, Terra is heavily used. This is not a project that's like, you know, we're trying to build a user base and we don't have product market fit yet. I would say we already have product market fit, given there's 2 million plus active payment users, 1 billion in transaction volume a year. So we see a lot of action happening. There's already multiple apps, Pay with Terra, Chai, which I think is a South Korean app, and MeanPay, none of which I use, but there are already payment platforms and apps that are leveraging all of this and leveraging the back end of Terra, which is super, super cool. As we scroll down a little bit more, we're going to talk just a little bit about some of the protocols that run in addition to, or I should say really run on top of Terra. So Anchor is one and Mirror is one. Mirror is really, really cool. And we'll get to that in just a bit. And then also I wanted to talk about this. What's the technology that Terra runs on? Well, it runs on top of Cosmos, which is super cool. I've talked about Cosmos a little bit. If you've seen my Secret videos, Secret is a project that also runs on top of Cosmos. And I guess technically that's not even correct. It'd be better to say it leverages the SDK from Cosmos to build itself as its own blockchain. And Cosmos is really awesome because it allows you to very easily build your own like internet of blockchains that allow anything that runs on top of Cosmos to interact with others that are built on Cosmos, which is really cool. It uses this, it's called CosmWasm technology. This is what runs with Cosmos itself, and it gives you the advantages that you want inside of a Cosmos project. So it runs on top of, as I said, the Cosmos Tendermint project, which is cool. And by the way, if you're interested just in Cosmos at a high level, you can buy Tendermint, which is the protocol or the token that drives the entire economy here. It's all in Rust. If you're a developer, Rust is super modern and really nice. You can see all the features. I'm not here to talk too much about CosmWasm, so much as to say it's heavily funded. The Cosmos project as a whole is really, really well built and very, very mature, and Terra runs on top of that, which is super awesome. So I'm going to skip by the rest of this and just go into some of the technologies that run on top of Terra and give you some examples of why I think this is so cool. So one of them is Mirror. You heard me mention Mirror. Think of Mirror as a protocol that allows us to create fungible assets that lets us do some really interesting things. One of those is what's called synthetics. So this is the ability for us to reflect what's going on in something external to the blockchain, for example, the stock market. And you could actually use Mirror to create and invest in certain synthetics that follow a stock market. So I'll give you an example here. If we look right here in the Mirror dashboard, this is terra.mirror.finance, you can see a whole bunch of these probably recognizable stocks. Now, these are not real stocks. These are fungible stocks that relate and are directly associated to the real stock and tied to its current value, but it's a cryptocurrency variant that lets us trade on it. Now, the reason we can safely trade on it is because of the power of the Mirror protocol itself. Mirror allows us to know for a fact that these are tracked and pegged directly to the stock itself. And so we know it's safe. We know there's no like rug pulls in it. We know that it's an easy way for us to buy and sell and create an ecosystem, a robust ecosystem built on a synthetic. Something that's not real, but does trace a real asset. And so you can pick one of these. Let's just pick Tesla, for example, one of my favorites. So this is M Tesla. I could both buy and sell Tesla depending on how I think the whole thing's going to perform. So yes, I could go to Robinhood or E-Trade and do the same thing, but some of us don't have the capabilities to do that. Maybe you have a bunch of crypto you want to use to actually buy this itself, or maybe you want to buy fractional shares and that's difficult for you based on where you're at or what app you're using. Well, this allows you to do all of those things. You can see there's a ton of people using it. Already has a $396 million market cap, and by the way, it's driven by the stablecoin USD. So again, going back to why this is so awesome. There's 1.7 billion already locked up in all of this. So the locking is what gives you the capital to be able to make these trades. And so some people will do the locking and they're going to earn collateral, they're going to earn interest on it, and others just want to use this to trade. And so you need both of those in place to create the capital for the ecosystem and to allow for the trades. The other use case is Anchor. So Anchor is the second major protocol that is driven by the Terra project itself. And this is a way for people like you and I to get into staking, to get into yields inside of all of this. If you own a bunch of Terra or you own the stablecoin and you want to do something with it and earn some yield or some APY on top. So you can see inside Anchor, this is what drives the whole thing. There's 263 million that's been deposited, 69 million that have been borrowed. And then you can scroll down here and you can see if you're staking and holding the stablecoin UST, you can see it's an average of 13% APR. So doing really well, way definitely beats banks. Now, are there other projects that yield more? Of course there are. But this is a solid project that's going to give you consistent yield gains. And of course, if you want to see more, you can click right here and go directly into the app itself. So this is app.anchor protocol. I don't have this staked. I don't have the wallet installed. If you're interested, I can do a future video where I show you how all of this works. But if you do have it set up, you can see how much you have deposited. You can see your interest rate. For me, it's at 17.92 at the time of this video, which is really awesome for sure. And you can see it's tracking growth over time. You can also use it to borrow, for bonds, for governance, which is kind of how we control what happens. It's how the whole community works together for what we want to see inside of the direction of the platform itself. So really cool. Also, there are third-party apps that are built on top of this. You may be interested to say, hey, look, when you go back to this YouTube video right here of like, well, what if I feel like the market is right and I do want to move Terra into UST or UST into Terra, and I want to do that swapping. I want to take advantage of the price being high or low on the stablecoin. Well, there's a lot of ways you can do it. One is this is TerraSwap. This is powered by Delight. It's a different project, different company. And so it's really easy to make these swaps yourself. So right now I have it here on Luna. And so I could just swap one Luna over to, for example, and there's multiple different currencies that it's attached to, US dollar and other currencies, but I'm just going to use US dollar or UST since it's my native currency. So you can see it's trading at 6.4. Or you can reverse that and go from UST to Terra if you want to do the other swap. So this is just one mechanism by which those swaps can happen. There will probably be, and I'm almost sure that there will be multiple additional ways to do this as time goes on. The last thing I want to show you, and I'm going to do this very quickly, is there is a third protocol that is out now called Alice. What is Alice? It's super exciting, but in today's video, I'm out of time. So I'm not going to share with you Alice right now, but I will talk about Alice in more depth. Let me know if you guys are interested. Think of this as like the consumer tech piece. Everything else has been investor side, right? Those that want to buy Luna, hold UST, stake it, all that kind of stuff. But for the average Joe user, that's not super helpful. What's the actual user model that drives all this and drives demand for all this? Well, that's going to be Alice, or at least one of the user demand drivers. And so I'll talk more about Alice in the future, but here it is. Alice is very exciting. So stay tuned. If you guys want me to cover this as soon as possible, drop me a note in the comments. The last thing I want to do is just talk about price performance and its history and how Terra has worked. So remember, this Terra, it's actually called Luna. The whole project is called Terra. The coin itself is called Luna. And so as I scroll down, you can see it really has been quite low for a long time. It hit a parabolic raise all the way through March. So it's really gone. It's amped up from, like, as you can see down here, less than $1 all the way up to as high as $21, $22, which is pretty amazing. And if I do all time, you can really see it's had a pretty significant dip over the past few weeks, again, correlating and trending with what everything else has happened of late. And so you can see that dip here where, again, it was trading really high, somewhere between 20 and 18, $17, went down as low as $4. And so really, I believe now is a wonderful time to buy. There is such a huge user base. There's a $2.6 billion market cap. Apps are being created like crazy on top of this, a lot of usage around it, a lot of buzz in the industry. I don't do price predictions, as I think a lot of you know on this channel, but I will tell you as an investor, I feel like, man, at $6, anywhere from that $4 to $6 range right now, especially after this big dip, it feels like a really good time. And so do your own research as always, but personally, I have invested in this because I really, truly do believe in the mission, the capabilities, and the potential of Terra itself. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I am really excited about Terra and its future. It's a stable coin that's doing some things that I've not seen others do. What I really personally like about it is its capabilities to give us a decentralized mechanism to handle stable coins without a centralized authority managing it, as well as it's a brilliant platform that has multiple protocols that run on top of it that let us do some things like staking, yields, payment mechanisms and ecosystems, and reflection of synthetic assets that reflect something in the real world, which is really, really, really cool. And so the last thing I want to cover is just my view on how the whole project rates out for me. I have my criteria, and here they are right here. The first thing I talk about always is transparency. It's got that in spades. It's well documented. It's open source. I will put the GitHub link in the description so you can see all of that. Founder credibility, I've already shared that. We know who the founders are. They're brilliant. They've done a lot of entrepreneurial things before. They're definitely successful with funding, which is my third category. They have this in the millions, which is pretty awesome. And also they're going to be able to self-fund based upon how much they have on their own, which I didn't get into the tokenomics in this video. It's a little beyond the scope of this video, but they're well positioned with a funding and runway to carry this project through to completion, which is really exciting. Oftentimes product market fit, that's one I give a question mark for. This one I'm actually giving a thumbs up. The reason is because it's got millions of users already in it. And so because of that, and we're already seeing a huge trading volume, over $1 billion in trading volume per annum, and I think it's even higher than that now. I can say confidently product market fit is already there as far as the crypto project goes, which is rare and very exciting to me. And lastly, outside credibility. There are so many articles that have been written on it. There is so much attention to this, both from all like the major news sources in crypto to great YouTube reviews and videos, Medium articles left and right. So all of that credibility is absolutely there, and it is there in spades. So guys, I am very excited about Terra. I think the future of Terra is really exciting. I am definitely an investor in this, and I think now is a great time to buy. Of course, do your own research. Hey, I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about Terra, the whole project? Do you think this is going somewhere? Do you think its way of solving stablecoin challenges, or its introduction to the market to allow a fast payment ecosystem, or reflection of synthetics, or the capabilities of having great yield farming and all of that stuff is going to move the needle? Or is this just another project that's going to fail? Give me your thoughts. I'd truly like to know, and I want to know what you think of Terra and Luna overall. All right, guys, thank you so much.